Letters to the Editor, South Australian Register, August 28, 1956. I hope to induce others to cooperate with me in establishing a complete system of meteorological observations throughout the colony, based on that adopted by the British Meteorological Society. During my recent visit to Melbourne, I had the pleasure of concerting measures with Captain Clark, the Honourable Surveyor General, for a uniform system of observations throughout the Australian colonies. And I now want a staff of intelligent observers to aid me in carrying out our plans in South Australia. What is required is an extensive, cooperative, and uniform system of observations with instruments compared with well-known standards. Yours, Charles Todd, Esquire. Charles Todd established meteorology in South Australia. Meteorology is a science of weather observation and weather forecasting. Within a year of arriving in the new colony, Todd was already planning a vast weather observation network covering the whole continent of Australia. In 1855, there were very few trained weather observers, virtually no meteorologists, and certainly no telegraphs capable of the communications required to set up the network. So Todd set about building the continent-wide telegraph system. He trained postal and telegraph employees to be competent weather observers, and along with his colleagues in New South Wales, Victoria, and New Zealand, he established the principles and practices of modern meteorology. Less than 30 years later, he was able to draw the first continental weather maps for Australia. The maps drawn at the observatory on West Terrace in Adelaide were world-class, covering an area unrivaled at the time by any other meteorologists in the world. In the 19th century, weather forecasting was a risky business. On the 20th of September 1888, Todd published his first forecast in the South Australian Register, a newspaper printed in a building very near here. Unlike today's forecasts, it was general in nature and did not even contain a forecast of the temperature for the next day. How long do you think the public had to wait until they were given a forecast of the temperatures for tomorrow? We had to wait 69 years before the first temperature forecast was made on the 11th of May, 1957. But that forecast was only for one day. We now expect to have 7-day temperature forecasts. These started in South Australia in 2011. Todd's reputation as a pioneer meteorologist was recently confirmed when we discovered that he believed the temperature of the Pacific and Indian Oceans had a major effect on Australian weather. We have only recently accepted this idea as true. The effect is known as the El Niño and La Niña weather cycles, which are responsible for bringing droughts and floods to our continent. Todd was well known for diligently recording our colonial weather in a series of large folios. Recently rediscovered, the folios provide a trove of lost weather data. Volunteers have worked for 3 years to computerize much of the data, which now resides in global weather history databases in Washington. Winston Churchill, the British wartime leader, famously said, "The further backward you can look, the further forward you are likely to see." Todd's dedication to recording data 125 years ago is now helping to provide the backward perspective our researchers need to analyze climate change into the future.